Based on her experience as a tribal judge, Fairhaven College's Raquel Montoya Lewis has been appointed to the Federal Advisory Committee on Juvenile Justice. Her role is to represent the interests of tribal youth, as the committee advises Congress and the President on policy for juvenile justice.
Well, I think for the most part, many tribes have very underdeveloped systems with respect to juveniles. So their approach has been to treat juveniles the same way they treat adults. And so most tribes need to work on figuring out how to tailor their systems specific to the needs of youth, because they are very different in terms of how they respond to interventions. There are some tribes that have really worked on that and have some model programs. But overall, that's a big issue. The justice systems themselves are not set up to handle juveniles. The second issue is that there isn't a lot of funding for tribes in terms of working with youth specifically. So funding is always an issue. If you want to have a new program to work with youth, finding the funding to do that is a struggle. So those are the two, I think, the most significant issues. And then there are other issues that impact youth across the country that also impact tribal kids, which are, missing school, truancy. All the studies show that if you're reading below your grade level fairly early on in school, that's linked to continued truancy, and then that's also linked to higher rates of delinquency, and that's connected to higher rates of drug and alcohol abuse, and so those issues impact tribal youth as well.
Jason Dahlman worked with Raquel on the Lummi Juvenile Justice Project.
So I think that her approachability and accessibility are really the strengths that she will bring to the Federal Advisory Panel. Frankly, Raquel could probably write her own paycheck with consulting on the state level and the national level if she chose to do that. And I think it speaks volumes that she has chosen to take another position at the Nooksack tribe as the chief judge there. And she makes that conscious decision to be in the trenches, so to speak.
I had somebody that I'd seen repeatedly for years and years and years, and I said, you're not a bad person. This is not about whether or not you're a good or bad person. And it was an offhand comment. This person started crying. I couldn't figure out why. And I said, let's stop for a second. What's going on? And he said, you're the first person to ever say that I'm not a bad person. The first person. And I said, what do you mean? You mean a first judge? What are you talking about? Because this was somebody who I'm sure Judge Snyder was familiar with, that, I'd seen a lot of very significant involvement in the legal system across, not just in Whatcom County, across the state. And he said, no. I mean, no one has ever said you're a good person. And I said, are you talking about like your family? Your parents? Yeah, nobody has ever said that to me. And that was a turning point for me as a judge.
So I really admire the fact that she's able to balance her professional career, which is a judge for an actual tribe here in Whatcom County, and also a professor here at Fairhaven, and also a mom. I mean, she does it all, and she has a lot to offer every student that comes into contact with her.
Just being in the same classes there and her knowledge base is just really helpful, and really makes me excited to explore the law and the legal system.
So one of the things that I think benefits my students and that helps me to be a better teacher is that I have a lot of real-world experience working with legal systems, working with youth, working with lawyers, and so I get to bring that into the classroom on pretty much a daily basis, and I think that makes what they're studying much more concrete and real for them.